Welcome to Noble Talk. We're here for another episode, podcast, November 29th at the factory here in North York. We're going to be putting together this show. We had a lot of content. We actually had to get rid of some of it, but we put together a nice show, I believe. If you are tuning in, I'm going to encourage you to comment. We'll try to answer the comments as soon as I see them. There will be a little delayed because of the way it works here. This show is going to be multifaceted, and a lot of it's going to be motivational, of course, because I think that during these dark, dreary days, motivation is necessary. And we have to kind of pick ourselves up because excuses are plenty in this day and age about why I can't do this and why I can't do that. So we're going to have to be mentally tough, and we're going to be talking about that here during this show, and we would normally have a guest speaker. Today we got stuck with me and myself and I hope we can entertain you just the same. So we're going to cue in our first video.
5 laws of the world-class masterminds. Number 1, Murphy's Law. The more you fear something happening, the more likely it is to occur. Number 2, Kydland's Law. If you write a problem down clearly and specifically, you have solved half of it. Number 3, Gilbert's Law. When you take on a task, finding the best ways to achieve the desired result is always your responsibility. Number 4, Wilson's Law. If you prioritize knowledge and intelligence, money will continue to come. Number 5, Falkland's Law. If you don't have to make a decision about something, then don't decide.
And those are 5 very important laws to put forward. And we talk about Murphy's Law, we talk about all these laws, but essentially what it is a mindset. And if you write down a problem, chances are you're going to solve it, because last week we spoke about your mind being the best computer available to you. So asking better questions is very important. Prioritizing, also very important, to line up your wishes one at a time. What's the most important? What are you going to do first? How are you going to do it? Visualization is very important also. These 5 laws should be written in stone in anybody's itinerary for success. Anytime you want to do something, it doesn't matter whether it's business or whether it's life, these 5 laws really come in handy anytime times get tough. You set your mind straight, you try to visualize your problem, you try to visualize your solution, you work forward. Anything that could go wrong sometimes does go wrong. You try to visualize your way around it. Okay, I think I'm going to come across this problem. If that problem comes in, what is my backup? What do I do with that? And how do I address that? If that problem actually arises, half the time it doesn't arise. But if you think about it, chances are it is going to happen. So we want to keep ourselves clear. We want to stay positive. We want to make sure that those goals move forward. We're going to move on to the next video, and it's another video that goes through with motivational. So we're going to play this, and then we'll talk about it as soon as it plays. Oh, sure. Yeah, motivational corner. Yes. No, that's good. No, motivational corner. This is. Go to this. It's okay. This is okay. Yep. Technical difficulties on my side. That's all my point. Okay, so overthinking, right. Tired, nap. Sad, exercise. Anxious, meditate. Angry, listen to music. Lazy, reduce your screen time. Burnout, read. Stressed, go for a walk. So go for a walk. I mean, basically you're going to get yourself out of that mode. You're looking at different things as you're walking your path. You'll find that things start to clear out. You look at the sidewalk. You look at the grass. You look at the trees. You look at the houses. You go into the park. You kind of just take your way. yourself from the situation. So going for a walk is very important. Um, you know, this telephone, sometimes I'm guilty of it too. You sit down, you look at it, and before you know it, it's 2 hours later. So maybe putting a little alarm on it and say, okay, I'm going to look at this for 10 minutes and then, or half an hour, and then just log off. That would be good. Especially if you're somebody like me who tries to achieve as much as I can. When I go home, I paint, and that's my de-stressor. And I find that the night goes away really nicely, and I accomplish something. Nothing worse than going home 5, 6 o'clock. You're after dinner, and from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, all you do is either watch TV, you don't read, you don't really improve yourself at all. You pick up a paintbrush, start painting, pick up a microphone, start singing, develop something in yourself. Very important. Sad exercise. Well, the dopamines that happen through exercising or even just walking up and down stairs briskly will change your mood. Overthinking, man, does everybody do this or what? Overthinking is one of those things that people who are insecure tend to do a lot. If you're not sure of what you want to do, you tend to overthink it a lot. And just let it flow. The universe will flow the way it's supposed to go. Don't overthink think it, because what happens is by overthinking it, sometimes you introduce yourself challenges that don't exist. So just look forward to the experience one day at a time. Move forward. Always move forward. At any given time, if you overthink anything, chances are you just don't do it. So let's be sure about what we do. That's most of it. Again, being angry, listening to music. Music brings you to a state of mind where that song may trigger a happy memory. And that happy memory puts you into that place of solace, that place of happiness. That song, when you got your first car, it plays. To this day, I can remember getting my 1985 Cavalier and putting it, turning it on, and the music that was playing, and those 3 or 4 songs that I first heard really bring me back to my youth and in that happy space. So you'll find that music has that power. And, everybody knows I love music. I mean, the hat said so. So I truly believe find a good 10 songs that you really like, put them on a playlist. If they uplift your spirits, then you know what? Those are the right songs. So we're going to move on to the next thing up for bids. And we talk about Rocky and this famous. I love Stallone. Most people do. He has a way of putting things in the simplest way that really are powerful. Sometimes, being articulate and using fancy words just doesn't do it. But being very simplistic about what you say. This one here is about, you yourself being your worst enemy. We were mentioned earlier about, placing obstacles, overthinking things, and so on and so forth. This plays well to that. Let's play this Rocky scene.
This guy here staring back at you,
Yeah?
that's your toughest opponent. Every time you get into the ring, that's who you're going against. I believe that in boxing, and I do believe that in life, okay? You throw a jab in the jaw. All right, one to the gut. Now, every time you punch this guy, what's he doing?
Start one back at me.
That's right. So either you block it, slip it, or get out of the way. So. I'll leave you two alone for a while.
I'll let you two work this out. Isn't it funny how he refers to him in two people? Because again, you have the guy who's in front of you, and then you have the guy that's internal, your subconscious, that sometimes tends to sabotage your way of doing things. So remaining focused, know that you yourself have to put yourself in the mindset to succeed, knowing that you're fighting your inner demons. This scene basically capsulizes that whole thing, where you're there and you're sparring with yourself. Okay, yeah, you're training for a future boxing match, but in the end, aren't we sparring with life all day long? Aren't we sparring with family, with friends, with business, and so on and so forth. And the way you can navigate yourself around it, sometimes you just got to have the wherewithal to make sure that you're thinking about, okay, hey, listen, where's my mind on this? How can I, come out of this with either smelling like roses or professionally, or so that you don't overreact, very calmly move forward. So in this case, when you take a look at a scene like that, you are training yourself every day to get stronger, every day to mentally be aware of the things that are thrown your way and how you react to them. And how you react to them really basically builds your character. So that's what I got from that particular video. And moving forward from that, we're going to go to our commercial, and let's cue that up. Motivational corner. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to motivate ourselves to get going. And thanks to Boss Leather. Hello, Mickey. Thanks to Boss Leather for having me put this together. And of course, that's what got me here. And we recognize the fact that my family's supporting me on this podcast endeavor. I want to say hello to Robert and my daughter Danielle for helping me go through this. And we're going to get this done slowly. We'll get better with every show. We're working out the kinks. A lot of them have to do with planning, and we'll get that all organized. In the meantime, I want to thank everybody for joining us, and we'll move on to mind development. This is a Da Vinci quote from this young man that we had on our last show. And what it does is essentially tells you that there's more to life than just one thing. We're going to play it and then we'll talk about it.
Da Vinci has this incredible quote. He says, "To develop a complete mind, study the science of art, study the art of science. Learn how to see, realize that everything connects to everything else." What does this mean? So how you do fitness is how you do business. How you take care of your girl is how you're going to take care of your customers. How you're honest with yourself is how you're going to be honest with others. Everything connects to everything else.
So Da Vinci's quote, learn a little bit about everything, science, arts, anything that's going to build your mind, and how you treat somebody and so on. There's a lot there actually. Looking through that particular video about life and the way we treat people is very important. You'll know this. Your success will basically depend on how you treat people. How you treat your wife is how you treat your customer. That type of thing. Everything's kind of one-dimensional. You can't change yourself. I try to stay as real as possible at all times. When I'm doing this, I'm talking heart to heart, and a lot of what brought me here is who I am and the people around me and who I surround myself with. But also, I've read a lot of books and I've studied a lot of things, especially on business and mindset. And I believe I've been through the toughest times that most people could imagine. And I built myself through knowledge. And this is what Da Vinci's saying here. Knowledge basically cures all. Ignorance really doesn't pay the bills. Ignorance is just that, ignorance. So you want to make yourself intellectual, even if it's slowly. It doesn't happen overnight. You pick up a book, you read a book, you pick up a couple of points from it, use it in your life and slowly start to build. That's basically what that video is saying. You can't hide who you are, and you can develop yourself into better habits because a lot of these bad things like treating people bad and so on and stuff, sometimes people don't even realize they're treating people bad. I mean, in our case, customers are gold. Our business as Boss Leather, we treat everybody like it's a gift. You know, they come to us, they chose us. I always tell them every time they come into the store, listen, know you, know me. We are we're humbled with the fact that you came and you chose us after all that's out there and all the distractions and all the other competitors and so on and so forth. You chose us. That to us is an honor, and this is our way of thinking. And a lot of that has been developed over the years. Some companies start businesses and only really care about the dollars and cents, and the dollars and cents really are not what your focus is, because the cents will work itself out. But without a good customer relationship, and without a good brand, and without you thinking that everything I do has a ramification, well, then you can't be successful if you're doing everything the opposite way. So when I look at a business closing down, it's usually, what did they do wrong? It's nothing to do about, bad luck, good luck. What did they do wrong? What did they upset the customer with? Did they have expectations of grandeur with no work? Did they, look at it and say, there's a lot of money in this business, let's just hop on board? That's no way to start a business and no way to treat a customer. So again, when I see a video or a reel like this, I look at it and say, wow, there's a lot there, and probably a full show if we really wanted to talk about it. But we're going to move on to the next one now. And we're going to look at this one here where, life has its struggles. And this guy, sometimes a little graphic in the way he speaks, but he speaks from the heart. So I respect it. Let's cue up this next reel.
Every single one of you who is struggling right now, you need to understand this. What you're going through right now is necessary. What's happening right now is you are forging the fucking skills. You are forging the determination. You are forging the fortitude. You are forging all the fucking things that nobody else is gaining because they're sitting on their hands, and you're willing to push through.
Push through it. Push through it. Excellently said. Struggles, obstacles that come in front of you. And, you're building the skills. This is kind of what I was saying earlier as well, isn't it? Like, you're building the skills to build yourself into a successful operation and know your weaknesses and build up your strengths and all that kind of good stuff. The struggles that you go through today, in all that pain and all that anguish, I mean, you can cry, go away and say, this is too hard for me, or you can man up, or you can, level up to a situation where, you're learning things on a daily basis. And listen, I'm building skills, and no, success is not going to come right away, but slowly it'll get there. And you build yourself up and you learn the skills, whether it's accounting, whether it's marketing, whether it's merchandising, whether it's customer relations, whether it's accounting, all this kind of stuff, you're going to have to learn. And you're going to have to learn how to do it pretty quickly, because, when you're in a business or starting a business, there's not a lot of room for mistakes. However, if you act on them quickly, you can correct your path pretty quickly. Struggles are necessary to build your skills. That was that real. And I thought that was very powerful. And we're going to go into another commercial, it looks like. Let's cuddle up to your Boss Leather sofa. I love that idea with the spooning, and I thought it was pretty cute as a commercial, and I know a lot of people kind of liked it. This one here, Tony Robbins or Anthony Robbins, I owe a lot to mentally through my tough years. I pulled out the old cassette decks. You guys remember the cassettes? And we had a whole bunch of them. And I would listen to Tony Robbins, Anthony Robbins, and I would listen to his motivation and how heartfelt it was. Things that the human person does that actually sometimes self-sabotages or ways out of things and different ways of thinking, reticular vision. So what happens is if you're thinking about a red car, damn it, you're going to see a red car. And it's one of those things where, he pointed out, what you think is obvious, but it's not obvious because a lot of it is you have to pay attention to it. Paying attention to things is very important. And he comes up with this, this particular reel comes up with hard times and soft times and how it changes a person and what those times do to people. Let's cue that up, Ozzy.
Good times create weak people. Weak people create bad times. Bad times create strong people. Strong people create good times.
So hard times create tough people, soft times create weak people. Isn't that the truth? After all, if times are tough, the tough get going. That's the old adage. And if you have an easy time, usually second generation, third generation success stories, you'll see that the guy who brought you out of generational poorness, the first generation may be able to pick it up, but the second generation may not. Because times are good, you don't have that same drive that, the hungry person who started the business or whatever. So the grandkids and so on and so forth, we've got to do our best to make sure that they have the same mental strength that the first and second generation are putting together. So this Anthony Robbins reel about tough people, bring good people, tough times bring good times. All this stuff here really talks to the fact that we have to put ourselves in tough positions sometimes to grow. So that's basically what I get out of that particular reel. And again, I encourage anybody to make comments. Ask questions. I may get at them a little later because of the time delay. But if you have any questions, I'd love to talk to anybody who's asking any type of question. And then we're going to move to Ed Sheeran, popular artist. And he points out something that caught my eye. So I thought we would bring that to the table. Let's do that.
Learn nothing from success. Nothing. You learn everything from the failures. And this is the thing that annoys me about the state that the world is in at the moment, is no one talks about failure anymore. It's like shame. Like failure is shame. And it's like, oh, let's just bury that and not talk about it. No one goes, oh, what do we learn from this? Whereas with success, everyone shouts about it. But there's nothing in success. Success happens from failing hundreds of times. But it doesn't just happen overnight. You have to be rubbish. And you have to have people laugh at you. And you have to have people go, oh, come on, get a real job. No, this isn't really going to work. You have to, and you just have to have belief that eventually it is going to get better.
Wow. Okay, so what he was talking about is basically my life story. We don't learn anything from success. It's only through errors and falling. And, what rang to me is, okay, how many times that, the closest people around me, just give it up, get a job, this is not going to work out for you. Why don't you move on? And so on and so forth. And there's something inside of me that says, no. Listen, it may be tough now, but we're going to make this better. And I know it's going to take some lean years and so on and so forth, but I'm going to make it through. But failures are a very integral part of success, because through failure, you're able to course correct. Course correcting is something that a lot of people don't do. They'll make the same mistake 2 or 3 or 4 times, and then, hey, they're out of business. But if you course correct, or you see the elements around you or the environment around you changing, course correction is vital. in allowing yourself to move forward. So, if you have dreams and you do fail, you pick yourself up, you try again, and, with every failure comes a lesson. Success, hey, listen, you may have success. It may have come easy, but there will come a time, and if you're not mentally prepared for it, when you do fall, and you're not mentally prepared for it, you're not going to pick yourself up again. I find people who are not afraid to fail are the ones that are the most successful. Because what happens is, they call it balls, cojones. They call it, really having that, that underlying feeling that this is going to work out for you. Ed Sheeran probably, slept on a lot of couches and maybe didn't get paid for playing his songs. He's a multinational artist now. And if anybody, if he's sitting there and telling you that they had to go through all that, and I'm sure that most artists were like that, they started, and hey, why are you doing that? Why don't you just go get a job, and so on and so forth. But in his heart, he felt that he has a lot to offer. And I'm glad he does. He's got a great, basically a great line of work that he's put together. And every song has really good meaning, and it's got a great beat to it. It's a unique style that nobody does, and I really enjoy it. So hats off to Ed Sheeran for that particular reel, and making us aware that, hey, listen, not everything is sunshine and roses. We're going to go to Marcus Aurelius, a past Caesar, and he basically comes up with some advice for everybody. And let's play that.
Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. When you awaken to the truth that your mind holds dominion over your thoughts, emotions, and perceptions, a profound transformation occurs. You become the master of your own life, capable of navigating the turbulent currents with clear sense of purpose and power."
Ready to master Stoicism?
Okay, so essentially, mind over matter, mind controlling. You have to control your emotions. Man, there are a lot of times that I got to do that. I got to swallow my anger and really just take inventory of my thoughts and say, hey, listen, walk away from the situation, think about it for 24 hours, let your mind kind of work it out, and then approach your problem, as opposed to on the spot, making that, spontaneous judgment and really not thinking with a clear head. You're thinking with anger. I think Marcus Aurelius is basically telling you, hey, listen, if you want to be stoic, or if you want to be successful in this world, reacting off the hip or just throwing yourself into, quickly saying what's on your mind is really not the best way. It's something that you've really got to develop a skill. Hold yourself back. Really look at what you're going to say before you say it. And if you're not going to say anything good, just kind of walk away. Because at the very end of the day, because I like to say end of the day a lot, it's one of those things where you really got to control yourself. And that's where the mental strength comes from. And we have to really be aware of this. A lot of people get into a lot of trouble and always regret what they say right after they say it. And this wonderful piece of advice is something that I've truly believed to be a very, very integral part of my life. I try to think before I speak, or I don't speak at all. And a lot of times I'll kind of retreat into a corner. People will ask me, what's wrong? What's wrong? I will say nothing, because to me, that's the best answer. I'm not going to like what I say, so I better just be quiet. So that's my piece of advice for most people getting into a tough situation. I developed another little musical corner thing, and this song after this little effect that we're putting up, and it's called Music Corner from Noble Talk. It's a song Darius Rucker plays, and it's Fathers. It's just the first half of it, and essentially it's really articulates the struggle of being a dad. And let's play that up.
Being a man is what you make it. You can't always live up to expectations. You try to please everybody while you struggle, so you fake it and end up out of balance, compromising situations. As a good man, do what he should, man. Give everything he has and do everything he could, man. You might find yourself feeling all alone inside a house you built that you don't recognize as home. And that's what my daddy told me, and I'll tell my son the same. Now that I'm older, I relate and I actually feel his pain. He never cried, he might have lied, but he did not complain. And he said, son, one day you'll have to do the same. I get emotional when I stop and think and I look around beyond the county lines of my small town. I think about all the men out there who feel like I do now, who are screaming on the inside but won't ever make a sound.
And I know a lot of you have listened to that song, and essentially, from father to son, these are pieces of advice that, yeah, hey, listen, as men, we have to be responsible for everybody around us, and a lot of times, we're that pillar of strength, and sometimes we do have moments of weakness, and we're not that that Superman that your son or daughter thought you were. So you expose yourself to your vulnerable side. And this song, basically from father to son, hey, listen, you're going to get there too one day. I don't want to disappoint you or don't want to disappoint anybody. I try to pull it together as often as I can. Life often throws its curveballs. And, again, just slowly, wean through it and know that, hey, listen, times are tough and everybody's going through this. Most fathers, especially when the kids are under 7, Dad's Superman. Dad can do anything. Dad, nothing, he can do nothing, no wrong. And as that goes on and plays on into their, hey, listen, Dad is getting more human as you get older, so to speak. And that's, I guess, it's natural. That's kind of like the rite of passage. And then get into the teenage years where they're rebellious and they know more than you, and then they get into their 30s and say, listen, hey, my father was pretty good after all, and so on and so forth. And same thing applies to the mom and in that conversation. So this song brings it to light. I thought it was very powerful. I love the way it was done. I love the emotion behind it, and I thought it would be something as a nice talking point, and it works really well for what we're trying to do here on this podcast. As I mentioned earlier, this podcast is about, taking an introspective look at yourself and say, hey, listen, what can I do better? How can I move forward to? And if we can do that to 1, 2, 3 people, whatever that may be, and just kind of to say, listen, let me take a look at this. Maybe the reason why things are tough is X, Y, Z. And I can address that. Whereas before, maybe you didn't even look at it or didn't even realize it. So you're making yourself very conscious of what's around you. This is all pretty deep stuff. I'm sorry if I'm getting this deep, but for me, it's very important to turn some views to yourself and look at what you can work on and what I can work on. Even me talking this out, this is like therapy for me too. We're going to go to the commercial in our Toronto store. And we ended there with this wonderful jig that they're playing here. How does it feel? How does it feel? Anyway, I feel great. We had a great podcast. I want to thank you for joining us. And let's get those stormtroopers dancing away. And if you guys want to pick up and do that same move, you can go right ahead. I thought it would be nice to end this on a little bit of a comical note. And enjoy the day. I want to thank you for joining in with me and taking this heart to heart. We're trying to keep the shows at about a half-hour mark. I have so much more that I want to talk to you guys about, and we will hopefully ring a couple of bells as far as knowledge is concerned. And join me next time. We will be have a whole slew of topics that we want to get to. And I want to thank you once again, a heartfelt thank you for joining in on our podcast. And I want to say to yourselves, have a nice evening, a nice day, and a great week. We'll talk to you again.